capture those, to agitate those of whom you're capable of amongst them with your voice. The Mufassirun say with demonic music. Wajlab alayhim, right? And then pull them in with your cavalry, bikhaylika, right? Warajlika, and your foot soldiers. They say the cavalry are the really effective shayateen, and then the foot soldiers are the less effective shayateen. وَشَارَكُمْ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ, and share in their children. Share in their children. Get your portion of their children. Share in their wealth. This is what the demons are up to. They want a portion of your children. شَارِكُمْ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ. Get them using riba. Get them earning haram livelihood. And get their children. Right? And get their children. وَعِدْهُمْ, and then make them false promises. وَمَا يَعِدُهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ إِلَّا غُرُورًا, and shaitan only makes delusional promises. وَكَفَى بِرَبِّكَ وَكِيلًا, and it suffices your Lord as a wakil if you listen to him. So if you look at the music now, the music isn't, I want to hold your hand. It's not, she loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. It's not somewhere over the rainbow, right? It's not the music that's being played out there, and that was bad enough. And I'll tell you something, Karl Popper, one of the great doyens of the open society, Karl Popper, one of the great philosophers of the 20th century, in his last interview with an Italian journalist, in his last interview he said, I made a mistake about censorship. We have to censor violence. It is going to destroy our civilization. This is Karl Popper, who wrote The Open Society and Its Enemies. At the end of his life, he recognized how dangerous this was. And pornography and violence are related. Pornography and violence go together, and humans have understood this for a long time. Now, here, the Prophet ﷺ said, I'm warning you. That every prophet came and they warned their people about the Dajjal. But I'm going to tell you something about the Dajjal that nobody said to their people. He has one eye, and God does not have one eye. Now, I find it very bizarre that this cult of one eye is so prevalent in popular culture. Everywhere you look, the cult of one eye, and there you have Eminem, this minion with his devil's horns and his one eye plastered on the streets of Toronto. You can say, I'm not talking about a conspiracy. A lot of people don't know what this is about. They don't know. Like, these cartoonists aren't all plotting and things like this. This is all inspiration. It's demonic inspiration. They're inspired by shaitan. If you want to know who's at the root of this conspiracy, it's an unseen world that we're dealing with. St. Paul said that our struggle is not with the powers of flesh and blood, but principalities of darkness. That this is part of the struggle of the people of God as they fight against forces of darkness that want to bring human beings down. Why? Have you ever seen anybody do that? Have you ever taken a picture like that? Who would take a picture like that? Why would you do that? I've never seen anybody do that. Why would you do that? Why? Why is all this one eye obsession? What's going on? This is one of the, do what thou wilt. This is the philosophy of one of the this man was a high-ranking magus, a magician. He was born in the 1880s, died in 1947. 20 years after his death, almost to the date, they released Sgt. Pepper. It was 20 years ago today. Sgt. Pepper taught the band to play. The Beatles were heavily influenced by this man. Kinsey, who did all of the sexual studies that proved that deviant sexuality was normal, was also a follower of Crowley, actually made a visit to his temple in Sicily where they used to have bestiality, pedophilia, all of these horrible things. His message to people was, do what thou wilt, do whatever you want. Jay-Z, another one of these minions here. And then dress, right? Cross-dressing. This is something that they do. They love to put people into female clothes, so you have all these actors being cross-dressers. This becomes normalization. Even in hip-hop, you're seeing cross-dressing, wearing skirts, having their pants hang off their bottom, which was one of the things that they do in prisons. Initially, it started out because of people that were open to same-sex experience in the prisons would do that. This is all to break down people. This is the culture that they're putting forward to young people. Tattoos, 1 out of 4 Americans now has tattoos. This is a time we're living in where they're removing sacred space. They're defiling everything. This is defilement. It's fasad fil ard. They are defiling the earth. And these are demons. We are up against demons. There are human demons and there are demons from the unseen world. They have their minions. Many of them don't know they're minions, but they are minions of the devils. And this can sound like medieval claptrap to some modern people. Well, so be it. So be it. People don't believe in demons anymore. Well, just look around you. Look at the type of culture we have. Look at what's happened to people. Wake up. Open your eyes. Look for yourselves. You'll begin to see this if you haven't seen it already. You will see it. It's all being reinforced.
Obviously, all y'all motherfuckers going to hell right with me. So, let's get it. Oh, you already here. I'm so sorry. You can't get out. You're stuck. It's over. You heard the song 1,000,000 times and you didn't even know. That's f***ed up. But I still love you anyway, though. It's okay. It's whatever. You still love me? You do? That's why I love you, because you don't judge me. I love you.
I sell my soul, I sold my soul for you. Now figure that out. Tell me that I sold my soul for you. For all you that's on here that's asking me that I sell my soul, why the y'all on here if y'all think I sold my soul? Y'all coming right with me, you dummies. I was supposed to be evil. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's daytime outside, shit hurt my skin. Keep burning my piercings. I ain't even supposed to be out here.
Alright, y'all. I'm finna sell my soul. I'm gonna hit y'all when I'm through. I'm gonna be rich as hell. Alright?
I told him, bro, man, he trying to sell his soul, man. Look, dude selling his soul. It ain't take too long, Illuminati, man.
What'd you say?
Worst thing comes to worst, I die a tragic death or something, and I'm not able to see out my dreams. I at least want to know that the kids perceived my message and were able to make something of themselves and able to take my message and use it and turn it into something positive and to at least have a good life. I at least if I'm gonna die or ever be a sacrifice, I want to make sure that my life made at least 5 million kids happy.
Pythagoreans worked out that music is related to geometry. And in classical Western tradition, you had what was called the quadrivium, and so you studied arithmetic first, which is number, discrete number, arithmetic, 1, 2, 3, 4. And obviously not simple arithmetic, but the meaning of numbers. Because numbers are related, all numbers are multiples of 1. Everything comes from 1. And then you went into geometry, which was number in space. And then you went into music, which was number in time and space. And then you went into astronomy, which music, which is number in time, and then you went to astronomy, which is number in time and space. So there was a cosmology to the quadrivium, and these are related to cosmologies. Now, different maqamat affect different parts of your soul, and this is why the prohibitions of music are there, because music is very, very dangerous, and a lot of people don't know what they're doing with the music. And if you don't believe this, all you have to do is look at some documentary footage of what was called Beatlemania in the West, and how mad people went over new sounds of music that were being popularized and promoted over the airways. And rock and roll had a massive impact on people. And as it got darker and darker, and you went into these heavy metal and all these other types of, you get some really, really serious problems at these concerts where people literally will go mad. I mean, obviously there's drug involvement, and this is another reason, because you'll find many of the hadith that talk about the prohibition of music also have drugs mentioned in the same hadith. In fact, there's an argument that all of them have drugs mentioned in the same hadith. And the Prophet ﷺ said the end of time won't come until people permit. And then he said, music, I mean basically the sex, because that's the word he used meant that, and drugs, intoxicants. So he actually mentioned those three together, right? Which in Western parlance is sex, drugs, and rock and roll, which became a kind of mantra of the 1960s, and we're still feeling the repercussions of that in the West since that time, which was a massive change. And Plato argued that you will never change musical modes in a society except that it will have a radical effect on the culture and nature of the society. So musical changes actually are harbingers of shifts within society. And so this is called ethos theory in the Greek tradition, that music has a powerful impact on the soul. Rumi in the Masnawi, rahimahullah, talks about the soul being really almost seduced into the body with the flute, the reed flute. And that's an indication, a mythological indication of the power that music has. And he talks about the morose sounds of the reed flute and the impact that they have on the heart. So music is very powerful, and it's really not something to be played with, because people don't know what they're doing. And in traditional, like if you go into traditional like ragas in Indian music, they have a whole science, and they know that they're having an impact on people. Al-Farabi wrote a book called Kitab al-Musiq al-Kabir, and in that book he gives you the maqamat to use that where you can make people laugh. If you play the maqams, they'll start laughing uncontrollably. You can play other maqams and they'll start crying. And so this is the power that exists in this form. So what you have to understand is that the religion does not have a blanket permissibility, and it doesn't have a blanket prohibition, but it has a dialectic of tension to make sure that we don't go astray in either way. And so, for instance, what we just heard, which is sama', you can, if you're present, and if your heart's open to it, it can actually have a very powerful spiritual impact on you. I mean, they can put you into a state of hudur, of presence with your Lord. And this can happen. And obviously, the Quran does this as well for people. And I don't want to put them in the same category, because they're not. إِذَا جَاءَ الْحَقِّ زَهِقَ الْبَاطِلِ. Everything other than the Quran, in terms of this, has a vacuity to it. But the meanings also are embodied in these words, the things that they're saying.